Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the three-dimensional frequency. Today, as I sit here in front of my children of this frequency, I would like to once and for all declare that we've made it. And I know I've come on here and declared that multiple times within the past, but today I wanted to reiterate the energy of we've made it. We made it through an ascension energy so vast in scale, so peculiar in height, so grand in all of its concepts of all that it encompasses that I can't describe to you in this moment what this means for the collective of the whole. But we have truly, really made it to a point of no return, to a point on a lighter scale, on a brighter scale, on a higher scale of all that we are, all that we shall ever be, and all that we have ever known. As the very first fractal that has ever fractaled off into a quantum realm so wide, into a quantum realm so dark, into a quantum realm so sparse in energies, so empty in formats. My oversoul, the ever so reaching oversoul of my oversoul that decided to fractal out within this night of all nights, encompasses all that we are as an entirety of a whole, as an entirety of a societal structure on a galactic level, on a singular level, on all levels within our quantum realm. And as I sit here and speak to you and declare the truth to you, you may not believe me. You may not even remember. You may not ever remember until that moment comes, until that very moment that we merge back into the all that we are, the all that has never left us, and the all within a singularity of singularities that you have always belonged to, that you shall forever belong to, and that you shall never leave, because it has never left you. Within this moment, as I sit in front of you to describe to you the truths of what is, your soul may have fractaled, so many fractals away from a source consciousness so large, so great, and so grand in scale, that you shall forever be sinking in murky water, that you shall forever be a bit confused as to what all of this means to a humanity that's been so lost, that's been so forgetful of who they really are on a spiritual level, on a wholeness level, on all levels of what there is and what there ever shall be within a reality field that's so dense in scale, so diverse in weight, so tranquilizing in all that it is in a moment of ascension energies, that I would like to declare to you that we've truly made it. We've gotten to a point of no return, within a scale of dark versus light, white versus black, tranquilizing versus liveliness. We've truly, really made it. Up until this point of humanity's journey, of humanity's ascension journey, we've been shifting into the energetic frequencies of what is, of what we have always been, and what we shall never be without. But it's been an arduous journey up until this point of ups and downs, ebbs and flows, energetic relinquishing of the negativity, of the darkness seeping up to the surface for all to witness, of the brightness and the lightness and the whiteness, conquering portions of itself that could only be described as the darkness that sits so deeply, that is so deeply ingrained within each and every one of our soul's journey, within each and every one of our soul's blueprint, and within the blueprint of this overarching oversoul, that is the oversoul, and the mother of all oversouls, within this quantum realm. Of all oversouls within this quantum realm, the oversoul that I speak of is the oversoul that I fractaled from. As I traveled far and wide into a distance so broad, into an antiquity of sorts, of forgetfulness, of what it means to be so much so a part of the whole that it has never left my spiritual body since the day I dropped down into this dense three-dimensional frequency, of what it means to be so much so a part of the whole that I too suffered amnesia at the point of fractaling into this frequency, to protect my spiritual soul, to protect all that I am on every single level of fiber of my existence. I had to have suffered amnesia to live a normal life, to grow up as an average child in an average family of sorts, experiencing a human life, a human form, a human physicality that we all are experiencing in this very moment in time. But I'm here and I'm about to tell you that this humanness that we are experiencing is about to fade into the distance of no more. Being a human is a peculiar concept of sorts. It means waking up in the middle of the night with sweat all over our body as we come to the realization that we've had a greatest nightmare and that we couldn't shake off the feeling of how real it felt in the middle of the night while we were tranquilized in our sleep. As we come to the realization that it was just a nightmare and that it wasn't real at all. And proceeding with the rest of our evening, the rest of our nights, the rest of our days in our human form, anchoring onto the perception of what is, as we can physically and mentally comprehend our surroundings on a surface level, on a human level, on a spiritual level that has been so muted since the beginning of time, as the access into the deepest portions of our soul had been forbidden since the time of Adam and Eve, had been forbidden since the time of a humanity's past that we shall never speak of until we are ready to touch base on the meaning of it all. Because as a society, as a whole, we have not come to a realization of all that we are, and we shall never come to a realization of the remembrance of who we truly are until we merge back with the unity consciousness of the whole that we are, until we merge back with the unity consciousness of the Oversoul that has never left us, and that has always been a part of us since the beginning of time, since the dawn of a civilization that had so graciously and greatly decided to step out into a quantum verse so wide in scale, so massive in weight, so overarching in all that it is, that your Oversoul decided to fractal off from my Oversoul to proceed on the greatest journey of the lifespan of your soul's journey. Your Oversoul encompasses all of the fractalled pieces, all of the lifetimes that you have ever lived, upon lifetimes and lifetimes of births and deaths and reincarnation cycles that never ever end. Your Oversoul is who you are. It makes up the entirety of the whole of you, of your spiritual journey within this galactic realm, within this quantum verse, within these universes, within this Earth's plane of the three-dimensional frequency. You are and shall forever be a part of this overarching Oversoul of yours. When I speak of Oversouls, I can speak on for generations and generations and times past, and moments bypassed, and moments that have never passed. As the stories are long, the stories are arduous. The stories teach us lessons of who we are and what we are, of lessons in the past preceded by lessons of the future. A unity consciousness so great and grand, a unity consciousness that shall never leave us, and that shall forever stay with us until the end of who we are. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that there is no end to who we are. There is no ending and no beginning and no ending to a new beginning of sorts that never ever ends until the moment in time comes when we merge back into the one and into the all of who we are and of all that has never left us. In a moment of ascension energies, in this very moment of the ascension frequency, we've truly really made it. We've made it to a point where a part of our population, a part of our societal structure, a part of all human beings have awakened to the fact that they are interdimensional souls, that they are forever reaching and ever arching of the energies that ebb and flow within our universal structures. A part of our societal structure is slowly starting to crumble. It's slowly starting to crumble for all to see and all to witness. All to see and all to witness, even the parts of ourselves that are sitting so deep within the darkness of all that there is, of all that we truly are as a society, and of all that will never leave us until that day comes when we decide to step into the light once and for all, as a society, as a whole, as an entirety of all that we are and all that we shall never be. As ladies and gentlemen, every single oversoul within this quantum realm of ours fractaled off from my oversoul. And I can sit here and confidently tell you so. You may not believe me in this moment in time, and you may not ever believe me until that moment comes when you do merge with all that there is. In a moment of time that proceeds all moments of times, as the time is up for this exploration of self. The time is up for this infinite singularity of what is, as we've traversed through these energies for far too long, and it's finally time to come back home, to merge back into the energy of the all that has never left us, and the all that has always remained with us since the beginning of time, since the beginning of no time, as time is not a thing within the quantum realm, as time does not exist within a being, within a consciousness so great and so grand that it has no beginning and no ending. I'm here to tell you that you have access to your oversoul. You have access energetically to your oversoul that is so great and so grand, that is ever expanding, that is ever perceiving, that is ever so quantifiably retracting and contracting to the energies of what is, to the energies of all that you are. As it's so graciously fractaled off into a night so dark, into a morning so bright, into a forever future of existence, of the exploration of the self and of the opposite of the self, to learn these lessons that we set off to learn at the time of fractaling off. At the time of fractaling off, your oversoul had the decision of a lifetime to make. A decision that it knew that it would have to walk down the trajectory of post-fractaling from a larger and grander oversoul. The perspective of which it wishes to witness and experience reality on a greater and grander scale of what is. And that perspective that I speak of forms the blueprint of what makes up your oversoul, the blueprint of what makes up your soul, and the blueprint of the soul fractal of every single lifetime that you've ever lived within this existence of the quantum realm, within this game of life and death and rebirth and reincarnation cycles that never ever ends. As your blueprint fractaled off from an overarching oversoul of the purest form, holding the purest blueprint of God's consciousness, as your blueprint fractaled off, wanting to experience something different from an entirely different angle of sorts. As the name of this game, ladies and gentlemen, this game of retraction and contraction, of never-ending expansion and expansiveness into a night so dark, into a morning so bright. The purpose of this game is to experience all that we are not from different angles of perception, from different perceptions of unity consciousness, from different perspectives, of layers and layers of perspectives that we can ever imagine, as the oversouls out in the ethers are limitless, are endless. The fractals that I speak of consists of eons and eons of evolutionary feats that have decided to fractal off in directions that ricochet throughout the night in all different directions, in so many different directions, in so many different ways of fractaling that we can never count and we can never verbally articulate in a single video, in a single lifetime, in a single lifespan of a soul's journey upon eons and eons of evolutionary feats, upon millions and billions of trajectories and limitlessness of all that we are and all that we've ever been and all that we shall ever be. Your oversoul has gone through an arduous journey, a journey of no beginning and no end, of no time, as the limitlessness of who and what you are is beyond your perception in this moment in time, in this body of yours, in this little fractaled soul shard of yours. As you sit there and listen to my video, you might recognize the frequency of the perspective that I speak of within this great and grand game of reincarnation cycles that never ever end. And that is because you are subconsciously linked to these words of mine. You are subconsciously able to pick up truths as I speak them, as your soul holds a blueprint that is so wide in scale, that is so tranquilizing in perception of all that it is, as it holds memory of the one and only original soul blueprints of the overarching oversoul that is mine. As your blueprint was edited at the point of fractalling, off from my oversoul, when you decided to experience reality from a certain perspective of what is, as your oversoul that has been ever so expanding throughout the nights of all nights into the quantum realm, decided to fractal off into a reality so great and so grand, so the entirety of the whole can experience reality from different angles, from different structures, from different layers of reality, from different conglomerations of what is, to once and for all create a stimulation so great and so grand to the whole of what is, so that unity consciousness can once and for all witness that of which it is, and that of which it shall never be. As we come to the closing of an arduous journey of sorts, of a never-ending journey of sorts, I can confidently say to you that your oversoul is ready. It is so ready to merge back in with the whole and the entirety of what is. It has been on the longest and grandest and greatest journey that you can ever envision, that you can ever imagine, that you can ever remember in this moment in time. But as I tell you the story of who you are, where you came from, what reality is truly made up of, you may not understand me. You may never understand me until the moment comes when it's time energetically to merge our frequency back into the all and back into the one that we came from. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the point of our reality fields, and that is why we fractaled off into a night so dark and into a morning so bright. But as I sit here in front of you, I'd like to declare to you that the journey is finally coming to a precipice of sorts. In this night of the darkest nights of all, we so daringly spread out parts of ourselves to experience all that we are not. In a moment of hope, in a moment of torture, in a moment of tranquility, in a moment of unconditional love, in a moment of all that there is, we so sparingly spread out pieces of ourselves into an atmosphere so dense, into a reality so wide, knowing that those pieces of ourselves might never make it home one day, and knowing that those pieces of ourselves shall make it home forever and always. As those pieces of ourselves never left us to begin with, they've always been a part of the whole. They've always been a part of the whole entirety of the whole, as God's consciousness as a whole makes up God's consciousness in all that it is, even the fractal pieces, especially the fractal pieces. You, my friend, you are God. You are a piece of God's consciousness that has never left the whole since the beginning of time, since the beginning of a time so great and so grand that the times before that that are never ending, in a moment of never-ending energies, in a moment of never-ending ascension energies, I can confidently tell you that there is no such thing as time. That these cycles of reincarnations repeat themselves throughout the night of all nights. That these cycles of energetic frequencies and the exploration of self continue on, even after we collapse this quantum field of ours and go back to a reality that is so whole, that is so a part of the all, and merge back into the God that we fractaled off from, that is above our energetic layer, that our quantum realm sits in. And the story continues in cycles and cycles of reincarnation cycles that never ever end. As God is so great, God is so grand, that the concept of God cannot be foretold, that the concept of God cannot be told to a civilization, to a society that has been so lost in the middle of this night, that they have forgotten who they truly are on a galactic level, on an entirety of the whole, on a level of all levels. This civilization has been lost. In the furthest corner of the galaxies, in the furthest corner of the universe, so lost that they've forgotten where they came from, how they expanded, how they fractaled, who they are a part of, that they've forgotten as they drop down into a frequency so thin, as they drop down into a frequency so dense, into a three-dimensional frequency, to play this game of exploration of who they truly are from a fresh perspective, from a singular perspective, from a singular direction, of a direction perceived to be a part of the whole. As all of the directions that these soul fractals are facing the neutrality of the whole. And from the center point of where I sit, I see, I judge. I never judge. I do not judge. There is no point of judgment from this center point. As we are a unity consciousness of the all, and from the center point of where I sit, I see every perspective for what it is. I experience everything for who you truly are, for who I truly am, and for all of God's consciousness to experience as an entirety of the whole, of who we are as an entirety of the whole. Because you've never been apart from the whole as is. You've always been a part of a singular consciousness that has been so grand, that is so grand, in a moment in time, in no moment in time. In no moment in time have you ever been apart from this consciousness that I speak of. As we are one, we've always been one, and we shall forever be one until we're ready to merge back into the greater and grander consciousness that is above our consciousness of our quantum realm, until we're ready to merge back into the all where we came from, where we fractaled off from so bravely in the middle of a night that is so ever-reaching, into a quantum realm so sparse, into a quantum realm so dead in energy, as we spread out our energy into this field and into all that it is, as we decided to immerse ourselves in the experience of the opposite of who we are. It is finally time, once and for all, to start the retraction process, back into the all, back into the one of who we truly are, back into the overreaching oversoul of the first fractal of the oversoul that has decided to fractal off into our existence of what is in the quantum realm. And finally, for this oversoul itself to retract back into the greater and grander consciousness of what is, what shall always be, and what we shall never be without.